Roger and Harry, 2. The Deeper Trap, Chapter 1. The Rail Line. 3 days after Roger pitched the rail line scheme, they were back in Harry's truck driving north on Highway 144. The heater rattled. The radio played classic rock, static cutting through every third song. "This is different," Roger said. "This is smarter." Harry didn't respond. He'd heard this before. "The rail line's been abandoned for years," Roger continued. "Nobody patrols it. Nobody cares about it. The signal boxes are just sitting there, full of copper wire. We go in, we take what we need, we're out in an hour." "And Morrison?" "Morrison's got nothing on us. We served our time. We're clean. We're on probation." "Exactly. Which means we're not going to get caught, because we're being careful this time." Harry glanced at him. "You said that last time." "Last time was different. Last time we had too many people, too many variables. This time it's just us. Simple. Clean." They drove past Capriole, past Hanmer, into the bush where the trees grew thick and the road narrowed. The rail line ran parallel to the highway for a few kilometers before disappearing into the forest. Roger pointed. "There, pull over." Harry pulled onto the shoulder. They sat in silence, staring at the rusted tracks disappearing into the trees. "You sure about this?" Harry said. "I'm sure. Because if we get caught—" "We're not going to get caught." Harry sighed. He turned off the engine. "Let's just look. That's all. We look, and if it's too risky, we walk away." "Deal." They got out of the truck. The air was cold, sharp with the smell of pine and wet earth. The rail line stretched ahead of them, overgrown with weeds and saplings. The tracks were rusted, the ties rotting. They walked along the line for 10 minutes before they found the first signal box. It was a metal cabinet, about 4 feet tall, bolted to a concrete pad. The door hung open, the lock long since broken. Roger pulled it open. Inside, coils of copper wire ran along the back panel, connecting to junction boxes and relay switches. "See?" Roger said. "Easy." Harry looked around. The forest was quiet. No cars, no people, just trees and silence. "How much you think is in there?" Harry said. "Couple $100 worth, maybe. But there's got to be a dozen of these boxes along the line. We hit 3 or 4, we're looking at $1,000, maybe more." Harry stared at the wire. It looked old, corroded, like it hadn't been touched in decades. "When do we do it?" Harry said. Roger grinned. "Tonight." They came back at midnight. Roger brought bolt cutters, wire strippers, and a duffel bag. Harry brought a flashlight and a growing sense of dread. The forest was darker at night. The trees loomed overhead, blocking out the stars. The only sound was their footsteps crunching through the underbrush. They found the first signal box. Roger cut the wires, stripped the insulation, and stuffed the copper into the bag. It took 15 minutes. "See?" Roger said. "Easy." They moved to the second box. Same process. Another 15 minutes. By the third box, Harry was starting to relax. Maybe Roger was right. Maybe this was different. Maybe they'd actually pull it off. Then they heard the car. It was distant at first, just the hum of an engine on the highway. But it was getting closer. "Shit," Roger said. "Is that—" "Move. Now." They ran. The duffel bag bounced against Roger's back, the copper wire clanging inside. They crashed through the underbrush, branches whipping at their faces. The car slowed. Headlights swept across the trees. They dropped to the ground, pressing themselves into the dirt. Harry's heart hammered in his chest. He could hear Roger breathing beside him, fast and shallow. The car stopped. A door opened. Footsteps on gravel. Harry closed his eyes. Please don't be Morrison. Please don't be Morrison. A flashlight beam cut through the trees, sweeping back and forth. It passed over them, moved on, came back. "Hello?" a voice called. Not Morrison. Someone else. "Anyone out here?" They didn't move. Didn't breathe. The flashlight swept again. Then the footsteps retreated. The car door closed. The engine started, and the car drove away. They lay there for another 5 minutes, waiting. Finally, Roger sat up. "That was close," he said. Harry didn't respond. His hands were shaking. "Come on," Roger said. "Let's get out of here." They made it back to the truck. Roger threw the duffel bag in the back. They drove in silence, the headlights cutting through the darkness. "That was too close," Harry said finally. "But we made it." "Roger." "We made it, Harry. We got the copper. We're fine." Harry stared out the window. They weren't fine. They were never fine. But he didn't say anything. Chapter 2. Diminishing Returns. The copper from the first run netted them $300. Roger split it down the middle, $150 each. It wasn't enough. Roger's probation fine was still overdue. Harry's truck needed new brakes. They were both behind on rent. "We need to go back," Roger said. They were sitting in Roger's trailer, drinking instant coffee. It was Tuesday afternoon. Harry had the day off. Roger was supposed to be at work, but he'd called in sick. "I don't know," Harry said. "What do you mean you don't know?" "I mean we almost got caught. That car, that wasn't a cop. That was just some guy." "How do you know?" "Because if it was a cop, we'd be in jail right now." Harry rubbed his face. He was tired. He was always tired. "We need more," Roger said. $300 doesn't cut it. We need to hit more boxes. Get more wire. "And if we get caught, we won't." "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." Harry stared at his coffee. It was lukewarm and bitter, like everything else in his life. "When?" Harry said. "Thursday night. Same time. We hit 5 boxes this time. In and out. Quick." "5 boxes?" "Yeah." "Roger, that's going to take hours." "So we start earlier. We bring better tools. We move faster." Harry sighed. "Fine. Thursday." Roger grinned. "You won't regret this." Harry already did. Thursday night, they were back at the rail line. This time, Roger brought a headlamp, better wire cutters, and a second duffel bag. Harry brought his growing sense of doom. They hit the first box without incident. The second box took longer. The wires were corroded, harder to strip. By the third box, they were behind schedule. "We need to move faster," Roger said. "I'm going as fast as I can." "Well, go faster." They moved to the fourth box. Roger was cutting wires when they heard it. Voices. Distant, but getting closer. "Shit," Harry whispered. "Keep working." "Roger, just keep working. We're almost done." The voices got louder. 2 people, maybe 3, laughing. Drunk by the sound of it. "Roger, we gotta go." "1 more minute." "Now, Roger." Roger stuffed the last of the wire into the bag. They ran, crashing through the underbrush. Behind them, the voices stopped. Someone shouted, "Hey, who's there?" They didn't stop. They ran until they reached the truck, threw the bags in the back, and peeled out onto the highway. Harry's hands were shaking on the wheel. "That was too close." "But we made it." "Roger, we can't keep doing this." "We just need 1 more run. 1 more, and we're set." Harry didn't believe him, but he didn't argue. The second run netted them $400. Roger was ecstatic. Harry felt sick. "See?" Roger said. "I told you, 1 more run and we're golden. I don't want to do another run. Harry, I'm serious. This is too risky. We're going to get caught." "We're not going to get caught. You don't know that." Roger leaned forward. "Harry, listen. We're so close. 1 more run, 5 more boxes. That's another $500. We pay off our fines, we're done. We're free." Harry stared at him. Roger's eyes were bright, manic. He looked like a man who'd convinced himself he was invincible. "1 more," Harry said finally. 1 more. Chapter 3. The Third Strike. The third run was supposed to be the last one. Roger had it all planned out. They'd hit 5 boxes, get the copper, sell it to Paulette, and be done. Simple. It didn't go simple. They started at 11 p.m. The forest was darker than usual, clouds blocking out the moon. Roger's headlamp cut through the darkness, casting long shadows. They hit the first box without incident. The second box took longer. Someone had tried to strip it before, and the wires were tangled. By the third box, they were an hour behind schedule. "We need to skip this one," Harry said. "No, we need the copper." "Roger, we're taking too long. Just help me with this." They worked in silence, cutting and stripping wire. Harry kept glancing over his shoulder, expecting headlights or voices or Morrison stepping out of the trees. They moved to the fourth box. Roger was halfway through cutting the wires when they heard the engine. It wasn't a car this time. It was a truck. Big, diesel. And it was close. "Shit," Roger said. "Go. Now." They ran. The duffel bags bounced against their backs, the copper wire clanging. Behind them, the truck stopped. Doors opened. Voices shouted, "Hey, stop!" They didn't stop. They crashed through the underbrush, branches tearing at their clothes. Harry's lungs burned. His legs felt like lead. Behind them, flashlights swept through the trees. The voices were getting closer. "Split up," Roger hissed. "What?" "Split up. Meet at the truck." Before Harry could argue, Roger veered left, disappearing into the darkness. Harry kept running straight, his heart hammering in his chest. The flashlights followed Roger. Harry ran for another 5 minutes before he stopped, gasping for air. He listened. No voices, no footsteps, just the sound of his own breathing. He made his way back to the truck. Roger was already there, leaning against the hood, breathing hard. "You okay?" Harry said. "Yeah. You?" "Yeah." They threw the bags in the back and drove away. Neither of them spoke for the first 10 minutes. Finally, Harry said, "That was the last time." Roger didn't argue. They sold the copper to Paulette the next day. She looked at them like she knew exactly what they'd been doing. "This is the last time," she said. "I don't want to see you boys again." "We're done," Roger said. She didn't look convinced. They split the money, $350 each. It wasn't enough to cover their fines, but it was something. Harry drove Roger back to his trailer. They sat in the truck, the engine idling. "We're done, right?" Harry said. Roger stared out the window. "Yeah, we're done." "You mean it?" "I mean it." Harry wanted to believe him, but he'd heard this before, Chapter 4, Morrison's visit. 2 days later, Constable Morrison showed up at Roger's trailer. Roger was eating cereal when he heard the knock. He opened the door, and there was Morrison, standing on the steps with that same tired expression. "Mr. Deschamps." "Constable?" "Mind if I come in?" Roger's stomach dropped. Sure." Morrison stepped inside. He looked around the trailer. The same mess, the same smell, the same everything. "You been keeping out of trouble?" Morrison said. "Yeah, just working, staying clean." "That's good." Morrison pulled out a notebook. "You know anything about some copper wire going missing from the old rail line near Cartier?" Roger's mouth went dry. "No. No? No, I don't know nothing about that." Morrison nodded slowly. "Funny thing. We got a report from some folks who were out there last week. Said they saw 2 guys running through the bush. One of 'em matched your description. Wasn't me." "You sure?" "I'm sure." Morrison stared at him. Roger tried to keep his face neutral, but his hands were shaking. "Where were you Thursday night?" Morrison said. "Here, watching TV. Anyone vouch for that?" "No, I was alone." Morrison wrote something in his notebook. "What about Harry Kowalski? You been talking to him?" "No, we're not allowed to." "That's right, you're not." Morrison closed the notebook. "Mr. Deschamps, I'm going to be straight with you. I know you're up to something. I don't know what, but I know. And when I figure it out, you're going back to court. You understand?" Roger nodded. "I'm not doing nothing, Constable." "Good. Keep it that way." Morrison left. Roger closed the door and leaned against it, his heart pounding. His phone buzzed. A text from Harry. "Morrison just left my place. We need to talk." Roger stared at the message. They were screwed. They met at the Tim Hortons in Hanmer. Harry looked like he hadn't slept. Roger felt the same. "He knows," Harry said. "He doesn't know. He's guessing." "He's not guessing, Roger. He knows. He doesn't have proof. He doesn't need proof. He just needs to catch us once and we're done." Roger stirred his coffee. "So what do we do?" "We stop. We're done. No more copper, no more schemes. We just lay low and hope he forgets about us." Roger nodded. "Yeah, okay." They sat in silence, drinking their coffee. Outside, the parking lot was full of trucks and cars, people coming and going, living their normal lives. Roger envied them. Chapter 5. The Introduction. 3 weeks passed. Roger went to work. Harry fixed his truck. They both avoided Morrison and tried to pretend everything was normal. It wasn't. Roger's probation fine was still overdue. His landlord was threatening eviction. He was down to his last $50 and payday was a week away. He was sitting in his trailer, staring at a stack of bills, when his phone rang. Unknown number. "Yeah?" Roger said. "Roger Deschamps?" The voice was smooth, confident, familiar. "Who's this?" "Serge Laporte. We met a while back. You remember?" Roger's stomach tightened. "Yeah, I remember." "Good. Listen, I heard you've been having some trouble. Money trouble." "I'm fine." "You sure? Because I heard you've been messing around with copper wire, rail lines, that kind of thing." Roger didn't respond. "Relax," Serge said. "I'm not a cop. I'm just a guy who hears things. And I got a proposition for you." "I'm not interested." "You haven't heard it yet." "I don't care. I'm not interested." "Roger, listen. You're broke. You're on probation. You're one bad decision away from jail. I get it. I've been there. But I got something that could help you out. Something clean. Something legal." "Legal?" "Well, mostly legal." Roger closed his eyes. "What is it?" "Insurance. Claims. Accidents. You know how it works. Someone gets hurt, they file a claim, they get paid. Simple." "That's fraud." "It's only fraud if you get caught. And you won't. Because I got people. Doctors, lawyers, adjusters. People who know how to make things look legit." "I'm not interested." "You sure? Because I'm offering you a way out. Real money. Enough to pay off your fines, get your landlord off your back, maybe even save up a little. All you gotta do is play along." Roger stared at the bills on the table. Overdue. All of them. "How much?" Roger said. "Depends on the claim. But we're talking thousands, not hundreds. Thousands." Roger's hand tightened on the phone. "I gotta think about it." "Don't think too long. Opportunity doesn't wait." Serge hung up. Roger sat there, staring at his phone. He knew he should say no. He knew this was a bad idea. But he was broke and desperate, and Serge was offering a way out. He texted Harry. "We need to talk." They met at Roger's trailer. Harry looked suspicious the moment he walked in. "What's this about?" Harry said. "I got a call from Serge Laporte." Harry's face darkened. "The guy from the scrapyard?" "Yeah." "What did he want?" Roger told him. The insurance fraud, the claims, the money. Harry stared at him. "You're not seriously considering this." "I'm broke, Harry." "So am I. That doesn't mean we start committing fraud." "It's not fraud, it's just paperwork." "It's fraud, Roger, and it's worse than copper. You get caught doing this, you're not getting probation. You're going to jail. Real jail. We won't get caught." "You said that about the copper." "This is different." "How?" "Because Serge has people. Doctors, lawyers. People who know what they're doing. It's organized. Professional." Harry rubbed his face. "Roger, this is insane." "I know." "We're on probation." "I know." "Morrison's already watching us." "I know." Harry stared at him. "So, why are you even considering this?" Roger looked at the bills on the table. "Because I got nothing else." Harry was quiet for a long time. Then he sighed. That same long, defeated sigh. "What's the plan?" Harry said. Chapter 6. The First Claim. Serge set up a meeting at a diner in Sudbury. He was waiting in a booth when Roger and Harry arrived, drinking coffee and looking like a man who'd never worried about money in his life. "Gentlemen," Serge said, "glad you could make it." They sat down. Serge slid a folder across the table. "Here's how it works," Serge said. "You stage an accident. Nothing serious. A fender bender, a slip and fall, something like that. You go to the doctor, one of my doctors, and they document your injuries. Whiplash, back pain, whatever. Then you file a claim with the insurance company. They investigate, they see the paperwork, they pay out." "How much?" Roger said. "Depends. Minor accident, you're looking at 5-10 grand. Bigger accident could be 20, 30, maybe more." Harry leaned forward. "And what do you get out of this?" 40%. You keep the rest. 40%? I'm the one taking the risk. I'm the one with the connections. You're just the talent. Roger looked at Harry. Harry looked like he wanted to leave. What kind of accident? Roger said. Serge smiled. I got one lined up already. Rear-end collision, low speed. You're driving, someone hits you from behind. You go to the doctor, file the claim, done. Who's the someone? One of my guys. He's got a beater car, no insurance. He hits you, takes off. You file a hit-and-run claim. Clean. Roger nodded slowly. When? Tomorrow. I'll text you the details. Serge stood up, dropped a 20 on the table, and walked out. Roger and Harry sat there, staring at the folder. We're really doing this, Harry said. Yeah. This is a bad idea. I know. We're gonna get caught. Maybe. Harry sighed. Let's just get it over with. The accident happened on a side street in Sudbury. Roger was driving Harry's truck. Serge's guy, a wiry man named Denny, was driving a rusted-out Civic. Roger pulled up to a stop sign. Dennis came up behind him, slow and deliberate, and tapped the bumper. Not hard, just enough to make it look real. Roger got out. Dennis got out. They exchanged a few words, loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. Then Denny got back in his car and drove off. Roger took pictures of the damage. A small dent in the bumper, nothing serious. He called the police, reported a hit and run, gave them a description of the car and the driver. They took a report and told him to file a claim with his insurance. 2 days later, Roger went to see Serge's doctor, a guy named Dr. Patel, who worked out of a clinic in New Sudbury. He asked Roger a few questions, did a quick exam, and wrote up a report. Whiplash, soft tissue damage, recommended physiotherapy. Roger filed the claim. The insurance company called him a week later. They had some questions. They wanted to see the police report, the medical records, the repair estimate. Roger sent them everything. Then he waited. 3 weeks later, the check arrived. $8,000. Roger stared at it. $8,000. More money than he'd seen in years. He called Serge. I got the check. Good. Bring it by tomorrow. I'll take my cut and you keep the rest. Roger hung up. He looked at the check again. 40% of $8,000 was $3,200. That left him with $4,800. It was more than he'd made in 6 months at the Esso. He called Harry. It worked. Yeah? Yeah? We got paid. Harry was quiet for a moment. How much? $4,800. After Serge's cut. Jesus. Yeah. So we're done, right? We got the money. We're done. Roger stared at the check. Yeah, we're done. But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't true. Chapter 7. The Second Claim. 2 weeks later, Serge called again. I got another one for you, he said. Roger was at work, stocking shelves at the Esso. I'm not interested. You sure? This one's even easier. Slip and fall. You're walking into a store, you slip on some ice, you file a claim. 10 grand. Easy. I said I'm not interested. Roger, listen. You made 5 grand last time. You could make another 5 this time. Maybe more. All you gotta do is fall down. Roger closed his eyes. He'd already spent most of the money from the first claim. Rent, bills, probation fine. It was gone. When? Roger said. This weekend. I'll text you the details. The slip and fall happened outside a grocery store in Hanmer. Roger walked up to the entrance, pretended to slip on a patch of ice, and went down hard. He made sure to land on his side, not his back. Didn't want to actually hurt himself. A store employee came running out. You okay? Roger groaned. I think so. My hip. I think I hurt my hip. They called an ambulance. Roger went to the hospital, got checked out, and filed a report. Dr. Patel wrote up another medical report. Hip contusion. Recommended rest and physiotherapy. Roger filed the claim. The insurance company investigated. They sent an adjuster to look at the scene, interview witnesses, review the medical records. This time, it took longer. 6 weeks. Roger started to worry. Maybe they knew. Maybe they'd figured it out. Then the check arrived. $12,000. Roger stared at it. $12,000. He called Serge. "I got the check." "Good. Bring it by." Roger met Serge at the diner. Serge took his cut, $4,800, and handed Roger the rest, $7,200. "See?" Serge said. "Easy money." Roger nodded, but it didn't feel easy. It felt like he was sinking. Harry found out about the second claim when Roger showed up at his place with cash. "What's this?" Harry said. "Your cut. From the second claim." Harry stared at the money. "You did another one?" "Yeah." "Without telling me?" "I didn't think you'd want to know." Harry's face darkened. "Roger, what the hell are you doing?" "I'm making money." "You're committing fraud." "So? We already did it once. What's the difference?" "The difference is, the more you do it, the more likely you get caught. And when you get caught, you're taking me down with you?" "I'm not going to get caught." "You don't know that." Roger shoved the money at him. "Just take it." Harry stared at the cash. Then he took it. Because he needed it. Because he was broke. Because he was just as trapped as Roger. "This is the last time," Harry said. Roger nodded. "Yeah, the last time." But they both knew it wasn't. Chapter 8. The Investigator. The third claim was a workplace injury. Roger was supposed to hurt his back lifting boxes at the Esso. Serge had it all planned out. Roger would file a workers' comp claim, see Dr. Patel, get paid. But before Roger could stage the injury, he got a call from an unknown number. "Mr. Deschamps?" The voice was professional, clipped. "Yeah?" "My name is Linda Fournier. I'm an investigator with Intact Insurance. I'd like to ask you a few questions about your recent claims." Roger's stomach dropped. Okay. "You filed 2 claims in the past 3 months, a hit and run and a slip and fall. Is that correct?" "Yeah." "And both times, you were treated by Dr. Rajesh Patel?" "Yeah." "Mr. Deschamps, we've been reviewing your claims and we've noticed some inconsistencies. We'd like to schedule an interview with you. Would you be available this week?" Roger's mouth went dry. I don't know. I gotta check my schedule." "Mr. Deschamps, this is a formal investigation. If you refuse to cooperate, we'll be forced to involve law enforcement. Do you understand?" "Yeah, I understand." "Good. I'll call you tomorrow to schedule the interview." She hung up. Roger sat there staring at his phone. They knew. They'd figured it out. He called Serge. "We got a problem." Serge met him at the diner. He didn't look worried. "Relax," Serge said. "Investigators call all the time. It's routine. They're just checking boxes." She said there were inconsistencies. "There's always inconsistencies. That's how insurance works. They try to scare you into dropping the claim. Just stick to your story. You got hurt, you went to the doctor, you filed a claim. That's it." "What if they find out about Dr. Patel?" "They won't. Patel's clean. He's been doing this for years." Roger wasn't convinced. "What if they talk to Denis, or the store employee?" "They won't, and even if they do, nobody's going to say anything. Everyone's got plausible deniability." Roger rubbed his face. "I don't know, Serge. This feels bad." "It's fine. Just do the interview, answer their questions, and move on. You'll be fine." Roger wanted to believe him, but he didn't. The interview happened 3 days later. Linda Fournier met Roger at a coffee shop in Sudbury. She was in her 40s, professional, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Mr. Deschamps, thank you for meeting with me." "Yeah, no problem." She pulled out a folder. "I've been reviewing your claims, the hit and run on March 12th and the slip and fall on April 3rd. Can you walk me through what happened?" Roger told her the story. The same story he'd told the police, the insurance company, everyone. He kept his voice steady, his details consistent. Linda took notes. "And both times, you were treated by Dr. Patel?" "Yeah." "How did you find Dr. Patel?" A friend recommended him." "What friend?" Roger hesitated. "Just a guy I know." "Does this guy have a name?" "I don't remember." Linda looked at him. "You don't remember the name of the person who recommended your doctor?" "It was a while ago." She wrote something down. "Mr. Deschamps, I'm going to be honest with you. We've been investigating Dr. Patel for several months. He's been linked to multiple fraudulent claims, and your name keeps coming up." Roger's heart pounded. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I think you do. I think you've been staging accidents and filing false claims, and I think Dr. Patel has been helping you." "That's not true." "Then explain to me why you filed 2 claims in 3 months, both treated by the same doctor, both with similar injuries." "I got unlucky." "Unlucky?" Linda closed the folder. "Mr. Deschamps, insurance fraud is a serious crime. If we find evidence that you've been filing false claims, we'll refer the case to the police. You could be looking at jail time. Do you understand?" Roger nodded. "I understand." "Good. I'll be in touch." She left. Roger sat there, his hands shaking. He called Harry. "We're screwed." Chapter 9. The Unraveling. Harry met Roger at his trailer. Roger looked like he hadn't slept in days. "They know," Roger said. "The investigator. She knows about Dr. Patel. She knows about the claims. She knows everything." "What did you tell her?" "Nothing. I stuck to the story, but she didn't believe me." Harry sat down. "So what do we do?" "I don't know. We could come clean. Tell them it was Serge's idea. Maybe they'll go easy on us." "They won't. We're on probation, Harry. We're already 1 strike away from jail. If we admit to fraud, we're done." "So what? We just wait for them to arrest us?" Roger didn't answer. Harry rubbed his face. "This is bad, Roger. This is really bad." "I know." They sat in silence. Outside, a dog barked. A car drove past. "We need to talk to Serge," Harry said finally. "Yeah." Serge wasn't worried. He sat in the diner, drinking coffee, looking like a man who'd been through this before. "Relax," Serge said. "Investigators talk big. They're trying to scare you, but they don't have proof. If they did, you'd already be arrested." "She said they've been investigating Dr. Patel," Roger said. "So? Patel's clean. He's got paperwork for everything. They can't prove anything." "What if they talk to Denis, or the store employee?" "They won't. And even if they do, nobody's going to say anything." Harry leaned forward. "Serge, we're on probation. If we get caught, we're going to jail. Real jail." Serge shrugged. "Then don't get caught." "That's not helpful. Look, you guys are panicking. I get it. But you're fine. Just lay low for a while. Don't file any more claims. Let things cool down. In a few months, this'll all blow over." Roger wanted to believe him, but he didn't. 2 weeks later, the police showed up at Roger's trailer. It wasn't Morrison this time. It was 2 detectives from the fraud unit. They had a warrant. "Mr. Deschamps, you're under arrest for insurance fraud." They read him his rights. They searched his trailer. They took his phone, his laptop, his paperwork. They arrested Harry an hour later. Chapter 10. The Deeper Trap. The courtroom was the same as before. Same smell, same wood, same tired judge. But this time, the charges were worse. Insurance fraud, conspiracy, probation violations. Roger sat at the defendant's table wearing the same ill-fitting dress shirt. Harry sat beside him, looking like he'd aged 10 years. Their public defender, a different one this time, a young guy named Mark Tremblay, looked nervous. The Crown Attorney laid out the case. 2 fraudulent insurance claims, staged accidents, false medical reports. Dr. Patel had already been arrested. Denis had flipped and testified against them. Serge was nowhere to be found. The judge listened, his face impassive. "Mr. Deschamps, Mr. Kowalski, you've both pleaded guilty to fraud over $5,000 and breach of probation. Do you have anything to say?" Roger stood. His legs felt weak. "Your Honor, I made a mistake. I was desperate. I wasn't thinking straight. I know that's not an excuse, but Mr. Deschamps, you were already on probation. You were given a second chance and you threw it away. Why should I give you another one?" Roger didn't have an answer. The judge looked at Harry. "Mr. Kowalski?" Harry stood. "I got nothing to say, Your Honor. I made my choices. I gotta live with them." The judge nodded. He looked at the file, flipping through pages. "The Crown is recommending 12 months in jail, followed by 2 years probation. Mr. Tremblay, do you have any objections?" Mark stood. Your Honor, my clients have both expressed remorse. They've cooperated with the investigation. They're willing to make restitution. They were already on probation, Mr. Tremblay. They violated the court's trust. I see no reason for leniency. Mark sat down. The judge signed something. Mr. Deschamps, Mr. Kowalski, you're both sentenced to 12 months in jail, followed by 2 years probation. You'll each pay restitution of $15,000. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down. Roger sat back down. His hands were numb. 12 months later, Roger walked out of the Sudbury jail. Harry was waiting outside, leaning against his truck. You look like shit, Harry said. Thanks. They drove back to Capriole in silence. The town looked the same. Nothing had changed. Harry dropped Roger off at his trailer. It was still there, somehow. His mom had been paying the rent. Roger stepped inside. Same mess, same smell, same everything. He sat down at the kitchen table. There was a stack of bills waiting for him. Restitution payments, probation fees, overdue rent. He was broke, again. His phone buzzed. A text from his probation officer. Appointment Monday, 10 a.m. Don't be late. Roger stared at the message. He didn't have gas money to get to Sudbury. There was a knock at the door. Roger opened it. Harry stood on the steps, hands in his pockets. You're not supposed to be here, Roger said. I know. If they find out, I don't care. Harry stepped inside. He looked around. You got any beer? No. Coffee? Instant. That'll work. Roger put the kettle on. They sat at the table, not saying anything. I'm broke, Roger said finally. Me too. Like, really broke. I got maybe $20, and I owe 15 grand in restitution. Same. They sat in silence. Outside, the sun was setting, orange and pink. Roger stared at his coffee. He thought about the copper, the insurance fraud, the jail cell, the cycle that never ended. I got an idea, Roger said. Harry closed his eyes. He didn't sigh. He didn't groan. He just sat there, perfectly still. Roger, just hear me out. No. Harry, no. Whatever it is, no. Roger leaned forward. You remember Serge? Harry opened his eyes. Serge Laporte. Yeah. He called me yesterday, from a burner phone. What did he want? He's got work, real work, debt collection, enforcement. He needs guys he can trust. Harry stared at him. You're serious. I'm serious. Roger, that's not copper theft. That's not insurance fraud. That's actual organized crime. I know. You're talking about working for criminals, hurting people, maybe worse. I know. We just got out of jail. I know. Harry rubbed his face. He looked exhausted, defeated, like a man who'd run out of fight but couldn't figure out how to stop moving. This is insane, Harry said. I know. We're gonna get killed. Maybe. Roger, Harry, listen. We got nothing. You got nothing. I got nothing. We're both broke, we're both on probation, and we're both gonna be stuck in this same shit for the rest of our lives unless we do something. And working for Serge is something? It's better than nothing. Harry stared at him. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. Then Harry looked down at the table. His shoulders sagged. He didn't sigh this time. He just nodded. Slow, resigned. That was worse than words. When? Harry said quietly. Roger's face didn't light up this time. No manic grin, just a tired nod. Tomorrow night. Serge is going to text me the details. Harry nodded again. He looked at his coffee. It had gone cold. Outside, the sun finished setting. The sky turned dark. Inside the trailer, 2 men sat at a table, not planning a heist this time. Planning something worse. Because some people don't just walk into traps. They dig them deeper. And some cycles don't break. They just get darker.